G'day guys, Seeney here, and welcome to another episode on the Australian Wealth Channel. And today we're having a look at an investment that I have just purchased here in South Australia. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps to get these videos out to more people. So I've come all the way to South Australia to the site that's getting developed at the moment, where we have purchased another investment property. So this is a property that is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-garage property on a 300 metre square block of land. We just purchased this property for $407,000 and it's expected to rent for about $400 a week. So if we put that into the mortgage calculator, remember this is all equity, this property. I haven't actually had to put any of my own money down. So the expected mortgage payments that we'll be making on this are about $1,000 a month. If we do that P&I, it's around $1,600 a month. And of course, if we add up the rentals that we'll be receiving from that, is roughly 1,700 or so. So either interest only or principal and interest. It's a cash flow positive property. It's one that is paying us to be holding it. And of course, if we do principal and interest, which we are with rising rates, then over time we'll be paying this property off and we'll be less exposed to rising interest rates. So this is the site, so we'll head back in the office and I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about why we decided to purchase out here in Monopara in Adelaide. And here we are. You might have noticed that things look a little bit different here, and that is because I've actually moved into an apartment. No, I have not moved into an apartment. I'm just out and about. You know, we're currently in Adelaide, so that is not Sydney, so I am not staying at my house, which is where my office is. So you might be thinking, well, Jay, why did you buy in this random suburb that's not even in the city that you live in? You know, it's all the way over in Adelaide. Why would you purchase something over here? Now, the important thing to remember when you're developing a property strategy is that you need to work on something that's going to work for what your goals are. Now, for myself personally, I'm not interested in getting negatively geared properties. You know, that's something that you basically have to do in Sydney or Melbourne in a lot of circumstances because the property prices are so high and the rents are so low in comparison. So other places around Australia offer a much better reward in that regard. So Brisbane, of course, Adelaide provide much better cash flow on properties. And this is really important, I personally believe, because if you're negative gearing everything, it's very easy to get stuck and not being able to purchase more properties down the track, which is something that you really don't want to do because negative gearing, it really slaps your borrowing power around. And that's something that I wasn't really interested in doing. So I make sure that my properties are cash flow positive, and Adelaide and Brisbane provide that in spades, which is fantastic. Now, on top of that, there's a lot of different growth vectors as to why Monopara is an area that I think is going to grow quite significantly in value. So this is an area that was brought to me by my buyer's agent, and he suggested that I look into this and sourced some land and construction in this particular area. Now, the reason that Monopara is going to be such a great area going forward is because housing is affordable, which is great. It means there's a lot of buyers that will be able to push demand in the area, which I think is very important. And of course, there's a lot of amenities in this particular area. There's a massive shopping center. They have a hospital close by. You know, there's a number of different things that really make this a place that is quite livable in South Australia. Now, on top of this, the rental vacancy is incredibly low in this area. I believe at the moment it's under 1%, which is a phenomenal figure. So that means it's going to be really easy to be finding a tenant to get into this rental property very quickly. Now, there's a lot of interesting features about this property. It's across the road from a reserve, which means that from a resale point of view, people will be happy to pay a little bit more to have their house across the road from a reserve as opposed to being across the road to other houses. So there's a lot of different things happening here in Adelaide. There's a lot of infrastructure getting built, and of course, you know, they're looking to expand the city. And this is about 30 to 40 minutes from the city, so it's not too far. It's near the port of Adelaide, which means that there's a lot of opportunity for jobs in that particular area. And that's something that you want. You want a really well-diversified economy, places where there's lots of jobs jobs available, so that you can have an economy that's not just going to tank if, say, tourism dies, or something like that. Because here in Adelaide, that's not something that is super relied upon. Of course, we have tourism all over the country here in Australia, but there's a lot of industry here in Adelaide, which I think will help support the growth of property over time. There's a lot of demand in this area, and we've seen that the regional capital cities, such as Brisbane and also South Australia, are continuing to grow at such a fast pace. And the reason for that is because they're still quite affordable in comparison to Sydney and Melbourne. So I personally know, anecdotally, that there's a lot of people in Sydney that I personally know that are looking to leave and either go to Adelaide, in fact, to Monopara, or to move to Brisbane or the Gold Coast, because the price of housing in both of these cities is much more affordable. So as more people leave expensive capital cities, it's going to continue to drive that growth in these markets. And we're continuing to see that. Sydney and Melbourne are starting to slow down a little bit in terms of their capital growth because we're hitting an affordability ceiling for a lot of people, whereas Brisbane and Adelaide are continuing to go up at quite a rapid rate. And I think this is going to continue over time. So that is the reason why we have invested in Monopara. So just as a little bit of a recap on this property, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-garage home, which is on a 300 metre square block of land in Monopara, which is about 30 to 40 minutes north of Adelaide. So we are purchasing this one for $407,000, and we're expecting the rent to be around $400 a week once it's fully constructed. This is new build, and the reason that we're doing a new build is because we want to take advantage as much as possible of the tax deductions that we can get from depreciating the cost of construction over time. So we'll be looking at around $1,733 a month in terms of rental return, which is fantastic. The interest on this property is around $1,000 a month. But remember, this property is a cash out refinance. So some of that is because we have used some of the equity in our other properties. If we'd used a 10% deposit or a 20% deposit from our own money, this interest would actually be less, but we're taking on more debt so we can grow our portfolio just a little bit faster. So P&I, this is roughly around $1,600 a month. So after all expenses of the property, we're looking at a return of around $100 to $133 a month, roughly. Obviously, there might be some other things that pop up over time, but of course, a lot of this is going into principal pay down. If we're looking at just the interest payments alone, then obviously this is getting a lot clearer. It's more like $700 free and clear a month if we were doing interest only. But of course, with interest rates going up over time, or expected to be going up over time, then we're going to have to be careful and focus on paying that down just a little bit. So this property is not only highly cash flow positive from an interest only perspective and from a P&I perspective still being cash flow positive, it's putting money into our pockets, which is fantastic. It means that we'll be able to pay down the debt on these properties a little bit faster, because you want to be careful about your exposure when it comes to interest rate rises. We're not sure how far interest rates are going to go during this period in time. So it is something that we have to be careful of. We don't know what inflation is going to look like going forward. So, it's prudent to take a bit of risk off the table if at all possible. So really at this point, we're getting paid to hold an asset that will appreciate in value due to the scarcity of the land, and there's excellent amenities surrounding the area on top of that, and will be fully paid in retirement, which is basically the goal. So this is property number 3 for us. We have another property under contract, which I'm going to be getting into a little bit later on. We're very excited about this one. As you'll hear when I explain about this deal a little bit more. So they're both currently under contract at the moment, but we're hoping that they're going to go through pretty soon. The banks are incredibly slow when it comes to financing, so it's just one of those things that you have to deal with, unfortunately. So if you like this kind of content, you want to hear a little bit more about what we're doing with our real estate investments, then please make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps to get these videos out to more people. If you'd like to get yourself free stock, I have a link to Stake in the description. Sign up with the brokerage and they will give you a free stock, which is fantastic. If you'd like to track your net worth, I also have a link to We Money in the description. That's where I track my net worth, so you can see that grow over time, see how you're tracking with your properties, and it'll just do it all automatically, which is fantastic. So thank you guys so much for watching. please make sure you like and subscribe. Leave me any questions that you have about the property in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you later.